Yeah. Yes. Yes, we're going to make it, and Tobago is definitely going to make it too. We do have a member of the Joint Select Committee with us here this morning on Zoom, the Honourable Shamfa Cudjoe, to talk to us about Tobago's autonomy, what's going to be happening there, having some consultations, and we need you all to get the information so that you can know what's happening. Good morning to you, Shamfa Cudjoe.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning to everybody being on TTT. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for having me.
And welcome to the #1 morning show in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
Yes, so I know that the Joint Select Committee has been meeting on the Tobago autonomy, but before we get into the consultations, I know that the bill, the proposal is that it is split in two. Could you just tell us a little bit about that, please?
The proposals, right now we have circulated in the public domain two bills, two draft bills, and these bills represent our preliminary findings and our preliminary propositions based on the work and the research that we have done over the past 3 years. As a committee, we've also gotten work and research from the previous people and committees which would have looked at this piece of legislation or looked at the autonomy matter, and a lot of research by people who would have researched the matter before. So we are at the point where the Joint Select Committee is going back out to the public for another set of consultations based on our findings so that the people could weigh in and have their say. So I'm excited that we have gotten to this point.
Right, so the consultations, will it be looking at just the constitutional side of things or the autonomy side of things?
It will be looking at both, because in order to look at autonomy, there are changes that must be made to the Constitution. For instance, I've heard people say, why are there two bills before us? And of course, you're going to have two bills because you're making changes to the Tobago House of Assembly Act. So you would need a bill to do that. And the bill that is treating with that is the Tobago Island Government draft bill. And you would need a bill to change the Constitution, which would be the Constitution Amendment Bill. In the past, in 1996, when we repealed and replaced the Tobago House of Assembly Act 37 of 1980, people only talk about Act 40 of 1996, but there was also Act 39 of 1996, which made the changes to the Constitution. So it cannot be done alone. They are companion bills, just like in 1996, when we changed from Act 37 of 1980, we are now making that change to the Tobago House of Assembly Act and the Constitution. So in 1996, you had Act number 39, changing the Constitution, and Act number 40 of 1996, changing the THA Act. At this time, you have the Constitution Amendment Bill, which is just like 39 of 1996, changing the Constitution, and the Tobago Island Government Bill, which makes the change to the Tobago House of Assembly Act. So it's a similar process.
Right.
It's nothing. So I think that must clear up why there are two bills being circulated for those who don't understand the Parliament, the Joint Select Committee, and how lawmaking is done.
So how will this consultation take place? What is the nature of it? Because I've already seen questions in the public domain about boundaries, you know, what's Trinidad, what's Tobago, and the involvement of Trinidad into Tobago's business.
Right. So yes, you're right. There's a lot to talk about boundaries taking place, the definition of Tobago, the definition of Trinidad. And I would say just like the position that was sent to Trinidad by the Tobago House of Assembly in 2016. It's a position of consensus and not of unanimity. Everybody won't agree on everything in Tobago. Everybody won't agree on everything in Trinidad. Even on the Joint Select Committee, everybody won't agree on everything. For instance, me coming to the Joint Select Committee as a Tobagonian, I would say, okay, give us 50%, 50-50, you know, but at the end of the day, we deliberate, we do our research, and we consult experts who have done their work and have had experience in constitutional law and devolution and so on, and in trying to preserve the unitary state. These preliminary findings and research based on our conversations with the different stakeholders, they're being placed before the public. And if people have a different position, bring your position to the Joint Select Committee. This is your time to have your say. So we head to Tobago on Friday, where we start consultations from 10 o'clock in the morning and we end at 3. On Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning again, and we end at 2. The consultations in Tobago would be hybrid, where you could tune in online, or you can make a reservation to come to Victor E. Bruce building, where we're going to be hosting a consultation. And in order to make a reservation, please call 722-3270 or 485-5852. Again, those numbers are 722-3270 or 485-5852. So the hybrid consultations are taking place in Tobago. And then on Monday, we open up the consultations with feedback for people from Trinidad also, and that's going to be virtual. So you must tune in to the Zoom chat room in order to participate on Monday. We will also be carrying the consultations on the Parliament channel, and you could WhatsApp these numbers in order to get your say, to have your say, to ask your questions, to ask for clarifications, to make your recommendations. So we are trying to get as much feedback on our preliminary findings, research, and propositions as we move forward in developing and drafting this piece of legislation together.
Right. I think I'm trying to find out from you, Shamfa Cudjoe, is it that when people tune into this Zoom link on Friday or Saturday in Tobago, or if they make the appointment and come to Victor Bruce building, is it that they'll be able to ask questions? Is that will there be people there who will be able to answer their questions, or will they be able to put their suggestions, and will they be taken into consideration? Will their suggestions be documented?
Yes, of course. The members of the Joint Select Committee would be at Victor E. Bruce on Friday and Saturday for the consultation. So they're free to ask their questions, make recommendations. And what we have done from 2018 to now is consider each and every comment before us. When we did the 11th report, we had 31 written submissions. We sat and we went through each and every submission. We consulted each other on it. We consulted experts in the area of constitutional law and devolution. We engaged the EBC. We engaged the Ministry of Finance and a host of other stakeholders. So every single comment will be taken into consideration. We go back, we do our research, we ask questions, we get clarification, and we bring back our findings to the public, so the public can have their say and weigh in, say whether they agree or they don't agree, and even recommend a better way of saying the point that what they want to put across in this legislation.
Well, I'm definitely happy to hear that. But are you aware that there are other consultations ongoing? Yesterday we had Denise Soyafat Angus, I think it will be her, Dr. Winfred James, Deborah Moore Miggins, and some other people who are going to be having consultations in Tobago as well. Is this part of the Joint Select Committee movement?
I think this matter of internal self-government has been something very near and dear to our heart as Tobagonians for decades. We've had in the past people who would have done all types of consultations. We had this process that we are working with right now at the level of the Joint Select Committee came from consultations that started as early as 2007, 2008, when the Tobago House of Assembly, both PNM and DAC, and then PNM and TOP would have had the John Prince Committee established, and they would have done a host of consultations throughout Tobago through the years. And at that point in time, you had Reginald Dumas, who was doing consultations and research also, and he submitted his work to the John Prince Committee. You have Vanish James, you have Deborah Moore McGinn, who at one point in time was a part of the commission that was set up by the Chief Secretary in 2013. So everybody, whoever's doing consultations or having conversation in their own little corner, we know that this change can only be made at the Parliament. So at some point in time, it has to make its way to the Parliament. So we are hoping everybody who are having their thoughts and have their views would submit their views to the Joint Select Committee so it could be considered and deliberated on. And we could get to the place of drafting the legislation and bringing it to the parliamentary floor. We can consult and consult and consult. As I said before, everybody won't agree on everything, but we have to get to a place where we pass the legislation and we continue to build and grow, because this is about development. Development is a living, breathing thing. The same way legislation is created to foster and facilitate development, and legislation itself is a living, breathing thing. Hence the reason we have amendment bills where we change legislation to suit the time, to suit the situation. So at this point in time, we consider all the proposals before us, all the recommendations. We try to get answers for all the questions and to give clarification for all the positions of our preliminary findings. And we get the feedback, we consider again, and we move forward. But at the end of the day, we have to get to a place of passing the legislation. Everybody won't agree on it at any point in time, on anything in Trinidad and Tobago. There are those who say yay for pepper spray, there are those who say no for pepper spray, you know. Right. So there would be a host of different positions, but just like the position that was sent to Trinidad.
But if it doesn't get to the parliament, basically it doesn't make any sense.
It must get to Parliament because the Tobago House of Assembly can't pass the legislation on its own, and the people who are out there doing the consultations or getting their views and so on, they can't pass the legislation on their own. It has to get to the Parliament, and the members of the Parliament have to agree, because the changes to the Constitution requires a 3/4 majority, which would be 31 votes of the 41 seats in the House. We only have 20, the government only has 22 seats, yes, and you have to convince the opposition, you have to convince the independent. So we must remember the Joint Select Committee is made up of members of the government, members of the independent, and members of the opposition bench. And even among ourselves on the Joint Select Committee, we don't agree on everything, but we have to get to a position of consensus and say, hey, we're moving forward with this position, and this is what we're going to take back to the public and give them the opportunity to weigh in.
So these consultations will be from today. It's from today, right? The 30th of April until the 3rd of May.
So yeah, today's the 29th. So from
tomorrow is for, listen.
Yes, tomorrow, Friday, from 10 to 3 at the Victor Hebrews building. Please be sure to call the numbers to make your reservation. On Saturday, we go from 10 to 2. And then on Monday, we do a virtual type of consultation where Trinidad would have the opportunity to weigh in. It's important to note that you could access these bills. It's important that you read for yourself, that you speak up for yourself. Access these draft bills on the parliamentary website at www.ttparliament.org. There's also a survey on the website where you could look at the legislation and say how you feel about it, and do the survey on the website. And we have dropped off copies of this bill at different points throughout Tobago, at your MP's offices in Tobago East and West, at Penny Savers supermarket, at the gas station in Canaan, the NP gas station in Canaan, gas station up in Roxborough, the Roxborough Administrative Complex. So we are trying to get the word out there that people would take a look, read for yourself, because there would be many people trying to sway you in different directions and trying to derail the process. But at the end of the day, we have been working on this matter of internal self-government from as early as the 1800s, from as early as Robinson laying the tabled in
Hopefully
the
we'll
motion in
get
the
there.
Parliament in 1977.
But for those who are going to be joining
want to get
online,
to bring this to the floor. Yes, Natalie, sorry?
Yes, for those who are going to be joining online, what link do they use? Is there a Zoom link, a Zoom password that they can use to get to the online platforms to submit their suggestions?
Well, when they contact the phone number 722-3270 and 485-5852, that information would be circulated, and they could also follow on the Parliament website at www.ttparliament.org and the Parliament channel for those who are not tech savvy and not about going onto the internet.
Right, but that's following. That's not, you're not able to put, well, I guess they could put their comments in the comment section.
It is during.
Yeah.
It is during. So while they're watching, there are going to be people at these numbers who can take their comments.
We're almost out of time. In terms of, you know, after these consultations, how long do you think it will take the Joint Select Committee to come up with that draft bill or to have something that can go before Parliament for debate?
Well, we have been working feverishly and working diligently trying to make the deadline for May 31st. So we have been out there doing the work, consulting who we need to consult and so on. So we hope that we could get feedback in sufficient time to allow us to meet our deadline. We are really, really hoping to meet the May 31st deadline. That's what we're working towards.
And the deadline, you say, is May 31st?
Yes, to go back to the Parliament to present our findings, to present our report to the Parliament.
All right, Shamfa Cudjoe, thank you so much for sharing with us this morning.
Thank you, Natalie, and we encourage all of Tobago and Trinidad to participate. Thank you. God bless you and have a good day.
Yes. All right, Shamfa Cudjoe there, member of the Joint Select Committee, talking to us. Now, here's the vital information. If you're in Tobago, you can go to Penny Savers supermarket, you can go to the gas stations, and the draft bills are there so that you can collect it and read it. If not, you can go to, let me share that email with you. It is, you can send your comments via email to PARL101 @ttparliament.org. You can send your messages and your comments there. You know, whatever suggestions you may have for the changes to the two bills. And of course, you can call 722-3270 or 485-5852. Let me repeat the numbers again: 722-3270, 485-5852. And when you call those numbers, you'll get the link so that you can be a part of the consultations, which are happening Friday and Saturday in Tobago, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday, and of course a virtual Zoom on Monday for people from Trinidad. So call those numbers and you'll get the link. And do remember, you can make an appointment for the to be a part of the Victor E. Bruce consultations so that you can actually go there, but they don't want too many people because of COVID restrictions. So call those numbers to make an appointment to be a part of that. All right?